You have aligned yourself with a man who has bashed women, made countless racist remarks, and you're Ben Carson. Why would you align yourself with that?
Hey everyone! You just saw a quick preview of what we're about to break down, and it's definitely a heated moment. The clip comes from The View, where Ben Carson defends his decision to support Donald Trump. Even in that short segment, you can see how tense the conversation becomes. From the start, it's clear the discussion isn't entirely smooth. As Carson explains his position, some of the hosts, particularly Whoopi Goldberg, push back strongly against his views. The exchange quickly turns into a back and forth where perspectives clash and interruptions become part of the moment. For supporters of Carson, the scene highlights what they see as a pattern in mainstream media, where certain viewpoints struggle to get a fair hearing. They point to Carson's background as a respected neurosurgeon and public figure, arguing that his perspective deserves a full hearing, even if others disagree with it. Critics, on the other hand, see the discussion as a typical political debate on a talk show, where hosts challenge guests' opinions. Either way, the moment shows just how divided political conversations can become on television. We're about to watch the full exchange and then break down the key moments to understand what happened and why it sparked such strong reactions. Before we dive in, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and stick around after the video because there's a lot more to unpack from this conversation. Let's get into it.
Please welcome to Hot Topics, Dr. Ben Carson. Hey. So I'm sure you get this question a lot, but why did you endorse Donald Trump?
Well, you know, when I dropped out, my first choice went with me. But I said that...
It was you, right?
I was, you know, I was going to remain neutral. But then I realized that, you know, the political establishment was aligning to protect their turf. And they don't like the ideal of people who are not beholden to them and who cannot be controlled coming into Washington, D.C. And that was one of the reasons they didn't like me very much, but I was easier to get rid of than Donald Trump.
Well,
Sir, I hate to ask this question, but you have aligned yourself with a man who has bashed women, made countless racist remarks, and you're Ben Carson. Why would you align yourself with that?
Well, you know, you have to look at the good and the bad. There is no perfect person.
No, I know that.
But you know, you look at when Donald Trump first went down to Palm Beach area, and you know, a lot of the clubs down there would not accept Jews and blacks. He insisted on Jews and blacks and helped to break that open. So has he said some things that I wouldn't say or that you wouldn't say? Of course.
But he was also sued by the Justice Department in the 70s for not allowing black tenants into his properties, and he settled with the Justice Department, even though he didn't admit any liability, any wrongdoing. It's very clear to those of us in the law that that means that there was something amiss, and it was a significant consent decree. So the notion that he is a fan of the African-American community, I think is...
Well, I will put it this way. I have met a lot of his employees, including African-Americans, and they have nothing but good things to say. Somebody who's hired as many people as he has hired, and you can find very few people who have anything negative to say.
Well, what about
and then you have to look at his family. I always say one of the ways that you measure a person is looking at their children. And how do their children act?
Well, one's a big game hunter. I'm not thrilled with that.
Well, I mean, that's your privilege. But the fact of the matter is, you know, they have been raised very well. They're very respectful. And, you know, I look at a lot of kids who come from very wealthy families, and I am appalled at what I see. So there is no perfect person, but what I think is really the worst thing that threatens our nation right now is a political class, a ruling class, and they are so threatened by anybody who is not beholden to them, they will do virtually anything. And I think that's what's likely to destroy.
You can say that till the cows come home, sir. This guy is, I'm sorry, he's a racist, and he's not good for the country.
What's the alternative?
And I'm sorry, I don't understand. He's not said about the white supremacists. He hasn't really said to them, hey, listen, that's not what America stands for. He said, you know, it's too much. You're Ben Carson. You're so much better than this.
Well, I am Ben Carson. And that's the very reason I'm doing this, is because I look at the big picture. Could I focus only on racial issues? Absolutely. Could I focus only on women's issues? Absolutely. I could look at any one little thing and pick anybody apart on it. But right now, the nature of our country is at stake. We are on the precipice.
Exactly what we're
and
worried about.
we are determining what kind of nation we're going to be. Are we going to be a nation that's upformed by the people or upformed by the government? This is a choice that we are making right now.
Okay, if you're going to overlook what he says about women, if you're going to overlook what he says about African Americans, what about what he said about you? He basically said that you had a pathological disease. Wait a minute. Hold on. He even compared you to a child molester. Come on.
Well,
it could be personal, even.
If it were about me, I would be offended. But it's about America. We have to save this nation. That is what's important.
But he's a liar. Unless you say that you're a child molester, he's a liar. Do you want a liar for the presidency?
Tell me a politician who doesn't tell lies.
Abraham Lincoln. I don't know.
A current day politician.
But the lying that he does is continuous. It's on a regular basis.
Well, again,
Fact check goes berserk when he talks. He's got a long Pinocchio nose.
What I have to do is look at who is most likely to oppose the ruling class that is ruining our country.
Yeah, well,
who is likely?
He's in the ruling class.
Who is likely?
He is the ruling class.
He said that there would be room for you in his cabinet, in his administration. Did he make any promises to you, and is that behind your endorsement?
No, not at all. And in fact, you know, we agreed that we want to save this nation, particularly for the next generation, and talked about a variety of ways to do it. I'm continuing to work on mechanisms of presenting ladders of opportunity that will allow the downtrodden in our society to climb out of a state of dependency. Right now, the programs that have been put forth by both Democrats and Republicans for the last few decades are doing nothing but creating more dependency. We've gone from a can-do nation to a what can you do for me nation.
Let me ask you this.
And I wanted to follow up. You talked about the endorsement. Was anything promised to you, and what role do you see yourself in?
No, nothing was promised, nor would I accept anything. You know, the fact of the matter is, my interest all along, even in running for president, is to save this country for the next generation. And, you know,
what role would that be in the Trump administration?
Look very deeply at how that is going to be done. And I'm going to be working on health care, going to be working on education, which is an incredibly important part of a vibrant society. If you look at our military right now, you take people between the ages of 17 and 24 who are applying to the voluntary military, 71% are rejected. 71%.
Based on?
Physical, mental, or educational deficits, educational being by far the biggest. It is putting us at risk as a nation, not fixing our educational system. These are things that need to be worked on, things that I've discussed with Donald Trump. But also, I have to look at everybody who's available. And, you know, Case is just not going to make it.
I love Kasich.
Okay? He's not going to make it, okay?
He's still there. Some people aren't. They're still there.
One anyway.
Right. Cruz is not going to be able to draw people from the middle or the other side of the aisle.
True.
And you look at the number of people from everywhere who are coming for Trump. I mean, record numbers of people.
Yeah.
I don't believe the polls. The polls are used to manipulate people.
Okay, so I'm learning a lot about politics on this show, so this is what I know. Right now, we're talking about what if there is a brokered convention, right? And what would the alternative candidate be? Because in the pool, Paul Ryan and other people are being talked about.
Right.
Do you really think that Trump is correct in saying that people will, you know, be up in arms, quote unquote, riot, he said that, if they did not choose him as the nominee?
I don't think that there would be a physical riot, but I think it would absolutely destroy the Republican Party. There is no way that people who are coming in droves now to support Trump enthusiastically are just going to say, oh, well, whoever you pick is going to be fine.
Is that responsible of him to say, you know, they'll be rioting? I mean, sort of throw gasoline on the fire like that? Is that responsible?
That's really not the point. I mean, we can look.
But what's the point?
Well, no, we can look at all these things that politicians and people in the political sphere say.
Yeah.
Or we can say, what are the true issues? It's sort of like what's going on with some of these rallies, where, you know, we've seen some violence.
All of his antics are covering over the true issues. That's the problem. His antics are covering over the true issues.
Right. The true issue is the First Amendment of America and the freedom of speech. And we need to be looking at those kinds of issues. Everybody needs to be looking at those issues, not just one side or the other side. And the fact of the matter is, when you look at these rallies that are going on, do you ever see that happening in a Clinton or Bernie Sanders rally?
They're not promoting. Why not?
No, you don't.
Why not?
Why not?
Because people on the right don't do that. People on the left do that.
And people on the left don't say, you know, go punch him if you want to, or take him out on a stretcher. I haven't heard that on the left.
Yeah, but you're missing my point.
What's your point?
What is the point?
What is it?
You're missing the point. The point is that we have to focus on the things that are essential to America, like First Amendment rights, not personalities. That's the problem. We always want to focus on personalities.
But you've met with Donald Trump behind closed doors. Have you seen any evidence that he's really not the bombastic, sort of baiting personality?
You said there were the two.
Are there two Donald Trumps?
There are.
Well, which one is running for president? Which one?
Who have you seen? Tell us who you have seen.
Well, I have seen a man who's actually willing to sit down and engage in deep, serious conversations about the problems that affect our country.
Well, why is he holding out on America?
I have seen a man who actually recognizes that he doesn't know everything.
And he doesn't think that's going to work in his election if he shows that side of him? Or is that more of like a male thing I have to show? Yeah, is that more of a male thing?
I think you're going to see more of that side of him coming up.
So he might be,
did you notice in the last...
He might be fooling his own constituency.
Did you notice in the last debate that he wasn't nearly as bombastic?
Yes.
Did you notice that?
I did.
He's transitioning now into general election.
But sir, you know,
I think you're going to continue to see that.
I'm sorry.
But again, there's no perfect person.
No, there isn't a perfect person, but if you're running for president of the United States of America, a country which has said to other countries, bring me the folks that you need who need freedom. We're here for you. When you talk about Mexicans being rapists and murderers, when you talk to women, if he had spoken to your wife the way he's spoken to some of these women, would you take that, sir?
Let me tell you something. When you're very nice, you're very respectful, you talk about the real issues and not get into all these issues, where does it get you? It gets you where it got me. Nowhere, okay?
So is that what this is about?
No,
it can't be about that.
No, but here's my point. My point is he and some of the other politicians, they do what people want. They say what people want to hear. They appeal to people.
That's how Hitler got in, sir. That's how Hitler got in.
Yeah,
but you were a voice. You were, okay.
And it's an important voice, and it needs to be out there. But what we have to do is recognize that we have to work with what we have, not necessarily with what we ideally would want. And we, the people, are largely responsible. We have to be willing to stand up for what we believe, the people of the United States, because the politicians will respond to that.
This is true. So
All right, we've now watched the full interview, and it certainly highlights how tense political conversations can become on television. The exchange took place on The View and featured Ben Carson discussing his support for Donald Trump. From the beginning, the conversation was clearly intense. One of the show's hosts, Whoopi Goldberg, strongly questioned Carson about his endorsement of Trump, bringing up past controversies and statements connected to the former president. The discussion quickly turned into a back and forth where Carson explained his reasoning while the hosts pushed back with their own concerns and criticisms. At another point, co-host Sunny Hostin raised questions about past legal issues involving Trump, including allegations tied to housing discrimination decades ago. Carson responded by pointing to his own experiences and interactions with people who had worked with Trump, suggesting that personal encounters and broader context can shape how individuals evaluate public figures. During the exchange, Joy Behar also challenged Carson on questions of honesty in politics. Carson responded by noting that political debates often involve strong accusations on all sides and argued that the broader issues facing the country should remain the focus of discussion. Carson also introduced the idea that public figures can have different sides to their public image, suggesting that some political rhetoric may be part of a strategy aimed at energizing supporters. The hosts, however, continued to press him on Trump's tone and conduct, illustrating how deeply divided opinions remain on the subject. Later in the conversation, the discussion shifted toward protests at political rallies and broader concerns about free speech. Carson framed part of the issue in terms of constitutional rights and the importance of protecting open political expression, while the hosts emphasized concerns about rhetoric and responsibility in political leadership. By the end of the segment, Carson explained that his support for Trump was rooted in what he believes are major national priorities, including issues like healthcare, education, and economic policy. The hosts continued to challenge his views, reflecting the broader national debate surrounding Trump and the direction of American politics. The interview ultimately became a vivid example of how sharply divided perspectives can play out on live television. Supporters of Carson saw his performance as calm and measured under pressure, while critics felt the hosts were right to challenge his position. Moments like this show just how intense modern political conversations have become, especially when they happen on highly visible platforms like The View. What do you think? Did Ben Carson handle the discussion well, or did the hosts raise important points that deserved tougher questioning? Share your thoughts in the comments.